Welcome to Lostries. Welcome to tonight's Family Will Lose to Exter. Whispering life stories, story stars. Beautiful POE signs. Which do you prefer POE signs? Which do we point to we? Beauty free for far according to her quoting to her sister. If you have freester, a sister is very blunt, and often comes across as rude. Anna herself for the DAs. For herself for the DAs, and she has keenly. You prefer and she has concide and show. And she has keenly noticed that her sister liked him because do you prefer? We could chate. Do you prefer because she has lived through? It is side and prefer. Then, and he is side slash streeway, and he is side more. But to the defense of Dustin's ad, the freeway side streeway side slash try to be patient and understanding. But understanding does not doesn't. To sign der Destiny sides to dice, dusting to sign the Destiny sides. Be it Destiny to re-eyed to the Destiny side signed, every time for a time afterward. The sister apologizes slash, and then everything reputes like a shattered platey of a Dester platey. Do it as way to stay with ship and deli. Only to be smashed again, each dimer, canatus, so we prefer. 2 ways to 2-0, quiddy 2 ways. Dis 2-way 2-0, some way, 2-way 2-way 2-0, 2-way 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 2-way. 2-way 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 3-way 3-way tray cray 2-way way 3-way 2-way 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 way 2-way way 2-way. Today, the war broke at Tito, would be at broke it again with Des to be. The war broke it again, they could plead to her. Later today she been calling, but this time, on the felter herself to this, sorry was, wait. And they could love this, like a leafy fiater, with the leaf like a leaf that never quite touches the ground before being blown away by the wind. It didn't take root. It lacked a lured with it, still love things, if they can tell, still is deal still exter. Later free slash fruita slash fruity feeling. Later Freedy flush Freedy. Eps Freedy 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 Freedy. Freedy 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 for Freedy 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 for Freedy Freedy for Freedy Fruity fruit Freedy fruit free for Freedy free for Freedy for their Freedy free for their Freedy for their Freedy for and asked her his had her to take the Yumgusta. Anna refused. We, fair for you for Seaway. She made it very clear. She could take her, but only if we can came and if we were, can we can tame along as well. We could take her dister. We could prefer, her reasoning was calm. Who would be her dester waster? We could paper dester setcher. Sitcher dester almost didn't want to be alone with his sister deds as such a heated arguay with. She didn't spill commuty. Phil that can Percy. Feeder fill with Freedy, fill with Theo. Very firesides, fearing her emotion scission. Whatever did you prefer? Who do you prefer? E felt in awe. Pod for honor we could perpy. Didn't want to see thy for Anna. This was in a convenient stop he filled, which do with his stop, but a path potentially filled with landmines. Anna held her boundary. The arguments feel Peter, while we prefer the arguments field aside, but the story destinates us daring through the story. Destinate, you can take a faster. The freeway side streety of freeway side would more to you on. Let it go at Anna asks us. Did you ask Sideston? Dear friends before. We prefer dear friends side streetway you. Dear friends, waist free steep free waist 12 sides waist deep free size ties last deep free waist dies free size ties 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 size size ties size ties size ties size 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 ties size ties size 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 You would prefer an apology analysis? We prefer an a prewace? We could prefer you an a racy, both prefer to see, both to meaningful, both demands be for a meaning, to keep the reeny for a dester of gastup, to take responsibility, taking responsibility, proposing ways, to oxter, proposing ways to make amends, and mousing, proposing ways, to waysing, proposing mazy, waysing, to azing, and waysing, and mazing, to oxter, waysing, to oster, who oster, to prosing their sester, prosing to a us to waysing, quoting to quoting their sester, to waysing to quoting their sester, to waysing the waysing to prosing to quoting to waysing to person, to waysy to prosin to prosy to process. They lazy say they waysy to waysy say they waysy to prosy to waysy to persy say to waysy to perk lazy to waysy. Perhaps the sister truthing. Perhaps the sister truly sorry, but due to her, but we, quiddy weak plates, or perhaps our apologies have become a patterner, we can take so we can k, or we can take better and put it to, a plus doer, and we can, busy for two ways to be, this kind of apology carries. You'll prefer this kind of it carries no, space kind emits, while we can space kindsties, we can kind of be loader, but we can come to be loader well. They can be loader with these kinds of this kinds of esterns of this kinds of the id, this kinds of this kinds of a skides of this kinds 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 of this carries no responsible spots of a low of AIs and is a mo of a load of a spees. It can kate, they can kaima four of a mo 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 of a whoa. But do you prefer? Honorist whoa. Fair free for her preferred or fair free size for her fee ways, sappened, and free size fair size to us, it because set, woe and well, and because for her on more saxt verd, but because we are exerming for our fewers, and well for a fewis, and well for a fewis, and her feeling, and well fewis, and well for her fewis, and well, and if her end well for her at fewis, and well for her at wendwell for her fewis, end well for her at wendwell, we, catico dicui stuct. 8-way cates, 8-way, os suggestion having a parent act 80, sever way accompany them with carries 80, accompanying way accompany them was actors sever way, ederway, and resporting with weighty, side beauty far, seaway side street is seaway, capacity size streety destinast, right after a conflict. See can I can't read, right after a conflict she cannot handle, another potential confrontation alone, she didn't reflute a freeway seaway, simply freeways, this is an adult protectin' spee self, with biddy which do this is an adult protecting, it is an infinity self protecting her, sister from further damage to their duster from further damage to their relationship, but her father couldn't see that, you won't be at yesterday, we would prefer to case size to a trouble and to say. By the under day stocks, what he would prefer, beauty free way could you refer we could tech to we prefer who we could purplo. See do way we could punish those who don't follow the family script. Anna stepped out on /stepped. She said no. See. What do we can say? Feelings, two. Feelings, two. Peelings, ceilings, two. Ceilings, see. She has to be with, see. But let me ask every Leister sack. But let me ask every listener. If forgiveness doesn't come from the heart, but is forced by, The expectum expectatio with bigless. Which but is forced by the expectate. Boundaries are to sign, which do we prefer? Boundaries they are personify, we and get to we sign. Loving we you could have in. Deeply they sigh, precisely because Anna still could precise. See the freeway seaway to. See the freeway to well way to a seaway to. See well to well way to. She doesn't want a simple auticity cider. 2 ways cider. So, do you prefer? See. Do you prefer she chooses distance? For no way so do us. And she choose a distance? This is doing petty session. This is clarity session. This is this clarity session. Do you said she. Somblin sides, even if an apology has been. Can you embed, even if you'll price, can you embed, condor a big destard. If I still be kai do? I still stee. No. Mo size and size ends no way. If she is simply a treeway to we is simply a purport of freeway. We are like you are, we are kind of centered a fern with the sector to see a trying to stee with the dester to steeway, but steeway still with stee. Still with steeway, still with. See, somewhat livy to set shines, Davy Savy, Civy Savy, Civy Savy Savy, Civy Savy, Civy Savy, Civy Savy Civy, Civy Stevie, Civy Stevie, Civy Stevie, Civy Stevie, Civy Stevie Civy, Civy Civy Stevie, Civy Stevie, Civy Stevie, Civy Stevie, Civy Civy Stevie, Civy 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 Stevie, Civy 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 Stevie, Stivy Stevie, Stivy Stevie Stivy, Stivy stills trying to tell Stevie, Civy Stevie, Civy Stevie, Civy Stevie, Civy Stevie, Civy, Civy Stevie, Civy Stevie, Civy Stevie, Civy Stevie, Civy, Civy, Civy Stevie, Civy, Civy Civy, Civy Civy, call, Civy, be a real question whether of slash tree. Buddy free visant for, which do you prefer? In this family which do with fitty. For in this family, all the responsibility for understanding and tolerance falls on the one who is already hurt. The sister needs diagnosis. Support as a sister needs diagnosis. Support and two with him. The sister needs to listen. Not command to cake him. Not command him in his diag needs to listen on the sector not command. The other sisters need empathy. Not shallow to sister's empathy. Not shallow judgment exter sister debtors dester sister daster debtor sitter sister datter sitter datter sitter datter sitter datter 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 Second story. A new mother/daughter. You says she is already considering a heavy question. We could prefer. Whether do you prefer? Feather to cut off contact between her mother on her child? Freeway would do you prefer? Her mother endless way do we fix? It's her mother who prefers, her mother would be cool. For example, which do you prefer? For example stancer sign, when greedy far sides do. But we could say we could perform with spores to get a your dame. These details are pruted. What do you prefer would did beauty free styes. Beauty free styes, to meaty styes. Beauty free viewy styes. Beauty free thighs. Beauty free viewy styes. Beauty free viewy freedy. Beauty freedy. Even when we really freedy fies freedy fast. 30. Yet in her mother longs burnlas, which do you prefer laws? Yet in her net proceed. The mother eating for the MD free lace. Soused of her ways at dester to freely is. That's real. Place for clothes for clays with her clothes for plays with her proudly sash clays with her proudly shows her off at family gatherings. But when the mother will keep for two of. But when the mother will keep for those? But we could perpeg, but when the mother will changes the subject. Seaway/dester talks dester, when they could turn see-when. I, see-when two weller, see-where ties see-when ties see-where ties, two weller ties see-where seaways. She sends long warm more messages, will where then it's, then, you sell then, not because to get a destry, at a dester to you. Child wait that a dester is to that destry to this. Daster that is that to daster that daster act. Note of daster dat better for defer family. Better for dabbler. After every family gathering, she sends messages to her son. Recall in semily, 7 callers, Valor 7 callers. We could be. After for Devon callers, Valor's Devon callers for Devon, I meters. Every time is Valor. Every time, every callers, belowlers, every callers, every tollers, we could send some sellers, they could inster, without exception. In cycle side staver, the way to freeze, pull Freudian way to free decide, it's not over to teke. Research shows we preferred or low trades. Research shows that covert is second trained for covert or conflict. Because for you, bucus size do, bictu, to you, can respond shuro, bictu be pog doors, but covert exclusion. What is it? What do we prefer? What do we prefer stastive? When we prefer stasid me. Am I too sensitive? You see this mother will prefer. You see this mother Luz hasn't done anything wrong with send family events. Sends family events. Sends family events sends family. Sends messages. She does destinize flow. Friederfike show is Theli. Booker ways they is season s. Which do you prefer? And that is the problem. Doing everythings at Rekides and Destery and doing extreme with their passive Destery with Destery cons of extry with Basseter of extry stasher of astery stasser of estery stastery and statery of astery Desteries Destery with Desteries Dasteries Destery with Desteries and that is as Desteries that. Why does he prefer Louis Saffel? Why does he do this? Bitful freeway Sijin do. You would prefer, so, Biggie freeway, Biggie furly sizey, there is if they preferred in Mason. We may read a very cessant, when you espess, the freeways, CY Struweys. CY Streeways, CY Streeways, CY Streeways Struways, CY Streeways 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 Struways stride, the arrival with a coder for quota. The arrival of a granddaughter becomes a second loss. Because the second loss because she sees her son and his side squating with his wife creating a new family. We could do with YRC ways, 2 ways, 2 re freeway. The modiful way still fi C-way still be a 0 for ses. This loss, see what if I'm, see what I could prefer freely, do what I could prefer sense with, she celebrate a songro with C-way. She celebrates her sons or Siwo, instead of punishing her daughter-law's presence. But an emotional slice, full luesta, plus for 2 ways, but an emotional, to plus to 2 ways to turns, that loss, into hostility. She cannot hate her son, so she cannot hate her son so she hates you. She cannot reject her granddaughter, so she loves her, uncorned his ses, so she loves her on the sax. So we preferred this that he loved their 2 ways. Unlike this creative freeway, C-Vilo/free80. C-way freeway slash 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 freeway slash. This creates a waylay slash lies freeway slash lie slash way slash wise. The mother-in-law builds a close bond with the mother we control. With the mother we can tell with the muzzard we can tell. I am enough. What I want to say in the end. Is this your to lower? If they want to say, what I want to say, you would say or you when we preside we would say, be a beauty fur, broody fur, beauty furred pretty pearly preble who do, not resend her. Every treeway, teeble, teedy way, will be prod, teeble who do teeble, preble who do, beady pearl, beetle who will be, beady pra will be, beady, every pras, every probble, every tea, every will, pabble, do, ever will probable, be, deeble, beady will pobble, beetle. Which do you prefer? If you to scarce to prefer. We prefer, if you preferred it, if you prefer to, I could preferly, if you could prefer, we could prefer you, we could prefer you, it's a second mood preferdy. It is a preferly, with second preferring to a preferdy. With you 2 sides to sound if you will confirm for the side of our 2 ways side of our desters dasters, even contest extra siders context, in 2 ways, indoors to stellars, if you will quite, you can let you prefer, you can let your grandmother love you, but not allow her to require me she could lessen do you want to give her. Beauty 44 to see ways, for you and fronts for you, in front of the screen, freeway size. Beauty freeway sires for freeway sires, beaks freeway sires frayers. Beauty freeways sires, ways. Sunway sires. Do you keep waiting to be waiting? Do you keep waiting? Do we crow? Do we to us? Do we choose to start a stas? Sodding doing to stying to stiding dot guider styes. Dot or stider sties to sty dot dider stiders Feel free to see a Sakinsai really Saginsais and Seaways Sigens at Sigen Sigens of Sakside Sigen 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 Svi free she show saging thighs siges siges siges